So I was rotting my brain out on Instagram per usual when I saw a post about craving avocado toast. And as the professional hater I am, I opened the comments in preparation to like a comment about them being a millennial or something. And much to my dismay, I see a sort of animal dropping in the form of a comment suggesting that they should rather order avocado toast on DoorDash from a specific place. And
I'm not upset with y'all because I know you're mentally ill, which is why one day I'm going to open up a
so
hospital.
I opened the replies. I thought, people are going to make fun of this guy. No, there's like 20 people backing this guy up. And I sat there for a moment and I came to the conclusion eventually that either the dead internet theory is real and these people are bots, or the general public is disabled. It got me thinking, like, how is DoorDash even a successful business? These people have to pay for gas. They get like 3 cents an hour to deliver food. And on top of that, most of their wage comes from tips. How does the actual business make money? And more importantly, why don't people ever just make the food themselves? We live in a world where every single recipe for any dish we want is available to us by a simple Google search. And nobody in the world knows how to make a damn grilled cheese anymore. It makes no sense. And I know the whole selling point for DoorDash is convenience. I get it. But a lot of the times, you pay more for convenience than what you think you're paying. And it doesn't just go for getting your avocado toast. I'm talking about the fact that no one seems to want to make anything anymore and would rather just pay the extra money or spend the extra time getting it made for them. So let me back it up a little and give some context for what I'm trying to say. We live in an extremely consumeristic culture. I'm not building this up as some grand critique of capitalism. The reality is we live in a world where we work so that we can live. There's nothing wrong with this. It's been this way since the origin of our country. If a pilgrim didn't do his wheat harvesting or whatever he did back in that day, he wasn't eating that night, and it's only fair. Now, as skewed as the ratio is nowadays to work and subsequent rights that we receive back, again, that's not the point of this video. What I'm trying to achieve here is an explanation that this right to live that we earned, especially in America, is tainted by a vision created by higher ups who have everything to gain from a culture that gets fed and never makes anything for themselves. So let's take it back for a bit of a history lesson. Back in the average U.S. senator's elementary school days, or as they say now, the Industrial Revolution, Henry Ford made what we call the supply chain. The idea was that rather than having a person who knew how to create a car in its entirety in his factories, which was hard to come by, he would just have one person assigned to building a part of the car. If you worked in that factory, your job was simple. You add one piece to the car, it moves along on a conveyor belt, and then you add one piece to the next car. That meant that Henry didn't need to hire any skilled craftsmen, but he can instead take advantage of the suffering lower class and immigrants to do his work for him dirt cheap, no training necessary. This grand new invention led to the mass slaughtering of any hopes the craftsmen had at making a living. Why would you want to buy from old Tommy when you can get it for half price at, Henry Ford's pollution shack? Where this has led in our society is to an era where almost every job on the market is either not creating anything of your own or just making a part of something. Even the jobs you get close to doing this, like an architect or an engineer, you still can't really claim it as your own. You're just a part of the team. You make blueprints for a beam that supports the bridge. You make a 3D model for helicopter wings, examples like that. There's still value in these things, but it's not quite the same as being able to claim something here as your own. You don't get the full satisfaction. Let's go back to that DoorDash example. You're hungry. Every fast food place sounds terrible and disgusting, and DoorDash is too damn expensive. You look at your pantry and you see some pasta sauce and tortillas, and suddenly you have a wonderful idea. You preheat your oven to 250, grab some tortillas, lay them out on a pan, put some pasta sauce on, throw some musty shredded cheese from your back fridge, pop it in the oven. 10 minutes later, you receive some form of an amalgamation of three pizzas that look like they've been scorched by the ashes of Hades himself. But at the same time, they don't taste too bad. And you sit there munching and you feel proud of yourself because you did something. You made something yourself. You got this whole adulting thing down. There's a base level of satisfaction you get when you make something yourself, whether it be a pizza or a painting. It's the harder the task is to accomplish, the more satisfying it is. And this goes for so many different things, be it art, making music, cooking, woodworking, or if you're me, making a video like this. I mean, the fact that I can point to something and say, that's mine, I did that all by myself, is really cool. Hell, even when I am doing art, when I use like a reference photo or something, I almost feel guilty, like I'm cheating, because anything that takes away from that feeling of something I make being completely mine makes that feeling less satisfying. But back to what I was saying before about the job market. The fact is, if you want to create something of your own for a job so that you can have that satisfaction of creation in your workplace, you have two possibilities ahead of you. You get successful, and that is in your lifetime, and you make tons of money from your project. Or, like most artists and poets since the beginning of society, you live poor and you die poorer. It's always been like this, and it's not changing anytime soon. The issue is that most people today are seemingly afraid to create anything, and this stems from two major things. One, the thought that unless you do it for work, you can't do it at all, and two, the fact that we are so constantly exposed to near perfection, we've become too afraid to start. I already explained the first one a bit, but the most important thing people seem to forget is that there is a life outside your job. In this economy, it's becoming harder and harder to believe that's the truth, but in every moment we have in our free time, we could be using that to create something and be fulfilled. And instead, what do? We spend time on that damn phone. But no, what I'm trying to say here is that our free time is filled to the brim with consuming things. We consume social media, we consume new products, we consume ideas from others, we consume hundreds and hundreds of viewpoints from all kinds of people, and yet we never spit any of it out. We don't organize our thoughts, we just consume. We never make anything observable that reflects all these things that we've learned, all this information we've consumed. We'd rather, in our decreasingly available free time, consume and be fed entertainment until it's time to work again. And it's not because everyone is just lazy. That's part of it. But our work is exhausting. And when we finally finish, we rarely have any energy left to make something of our own. Consuming is made to be extremely easy, and it's on purpose. It's to keep us as a society dependent on being fed by bigger companies or our government. Social media is especially dangerous in this aspect and it connects to my second part, as we are constantly shown perfection in our free time. Even if we are interested in things like art or music, we're surrounded by people who have been doing it for so long, especially on the internet, is what I was talking about, that it seems impossible to even begin. It seems impossible to compete. The people that are new to it, that had the bravery to begin, either don't share for fear of criticism, which is half the joy of creating something, or rather are drowned out by those better than them. It's like throwing a white belt in karate into the ring with 3 black belts. It's not a fair fight. So instead, no one even tries to create anything anymore, and it's in turn made so many people suffer from a lack of purpose, as all they do is contribute to someone else's purpose. Big companies have everything to gain from the general consumer being incapable of making their own things. If everyone can make their own food, and they truly love to do so, DoorDash would go out of business. Big companies need dependent people, and they need people who have no free time to make something of their own. That's why the job market is like the way it is. So I invite you to look at this issue from a news perspective. Time is money, and we pay that time for convenience rather than spending our time to be fulfilled in the joy that is making your own shit. It's that simple. And for the record, almost every form of creation or art is not that hard. It doesn't require to be born with some form of talent for the most part. Just be willing to fail a few times and be willing to spend time learning, and you can do it. All you have to do is start. It's the hardest part. You can figure the rest out later. I had the idea for this video in March, and I didn't even start until about mid-June, mainly because I told myself I was too busy to commit to anything with graduating and all that. Yeah, I'm writing the script at 2 a.m. I'm doing the voiceover at 2 p.m. the next day after sleeping for 12 hours. And guess what? I found time because I started working on it. And I found plenty of time in between March and now to scroll on Instagram and play Brawl Stars. It's just a matter of conquering that fear of failure. You do have time. You just have to commit to it. And if you make your success dependent on your passions, this kind of relates to the whole work thing I was talking about earlier. If you make your success as a person dependent on your passions, like making art, you won't get anywhere because you're too afraid to fail. Give yourself a safe space to fail. Share your progress with people you trust. It doesn't have to be big. You just gotta start. So get out there, make something, share it with others. Don't settle for helping others achieve their purpose your entire life. Create like we as humans were designed to do, and you might just find your purpose along the way.